Hi everyone. All right, so our last few lessons we've been talking about missing angle measures where we've been given a supplementary angle or a complementary angle, and we've had to try to find the missing angles given some other information. Well, today we're going to talk about parallel lines and given a transversal. So let's talk about some of these different words first so that we can see how to find the missing angle measures. So first thing we need to know is, what is a parallel line? So a parallel line is a set of lines that run next to each other, like these two L's right here, and they never ever touch. So parallel lines run next to each other and don't touch. Let's add the word lines here. Lines that run next to each other and do not touch. So they won't intersect, they will not cross over, they just run alongside each other like railroad tracks. Okay, so these right here, the lines on our notebook, these are parallel lines. They just keep going in the same direction forever. They will never touch each other. These are parallel lines. Okay, so they do not touch. All right, the next word that we need to talk about is a word that is called perpendicular. A perpendicular line is a line that creates right angles. So perpendicular lines create right angles and they make like a T, or they cross. So perpendicular lines will cross over. So the next set of lines we have are called perpendicular lines. Okay, so these lines intersect to make right angles. Lines that cross to make right angles. So these ones look more like a big giant plus sign. Okay, so they go like this, and they kind of look like our vertical line, our vertical angles, like this, right? So here you have a right angle there. So all of these are perpendicular lines. Okay, so they cross. So perpendicular lines, these are lines that will cross, and so they cross and they have right angles. So we have parallel, like train tracks, and then we have perpendicular lines, and these form right angles when they cross over. All right, so when two or more lines are intersected, like these here, we call that a transversal. So when we have a line that's crossed and it creates parallel lines cut in half, essentially, those ones are called a transversal. So our last word that we're going to talk about right now is called a transversal. And a transversal is a line that it runs through or cuts through parallel lines and creates angles. So you have your parallel lines, and those lines will never touch each other, but you can have them create angles when a transversal line cuts them. So this is a line that cuts through parallel lines to create angles. Okay, so here's our parallel lines that we have, like this. These ones don't touch. However, when you have a transversal, it cuts through it. This blue line right here is your transversal. It's cut through these two parallel lines, and now you have angles that have formed. So these angles that have formed right here are created from this cut that has happened from a transversal. So the transversal cuts through to create angles. Okay, so it cuts through to create the angles. So you have parallel lines that just run with no touching, and then you have the transversal, which cuts through to create those parallel lines. All right, so we're going to talk now about the angles that are created when we have the transversals that are happening. So now that we have some vocabulary, I'm going to turn my page just so that we can start fresh by looking at just the angle measures. All right, so let's talk about our parallel lines. So we're going to do an example right now. And our example is going to use this figure right here. So we're going to draw this figure, and it has two parallel lines, and these parallel lines happen to run up and down or north to south. Okay, one is called A and one is B. And then they have a transversal line. So here's my transversal line, and it cuts it in half, just like this. Okay, and they call the transversal line letter T. Okay, our job is to look at this figure right now and just do some noticing. So we notice we have 3 rays, and on these 3 rays, they tell us that this angle right here is 110, and they also say that we have angle 2 and angle 1. So in your math book, the math people, whoever those people are, have a figure that looks like this for you to look at. So our job is to use this figure to find the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2. So they want us to find the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to just kind of pick this apart. So we know that this figure is made up of 2 lines. What do we know about lines? We know that lines equal 180 degrees. So we know that we're going to have something here, somewhere, that equals 180 degrees. We also know that we have quite a big figure here, right? And we know that these are the exact same lines. So we're going to just kind of cover this up right now, and let's just work with what we have, okay? So if we look at this figure here, we have a supplementary angle. So I'm going to turn this paper, nope, I'm not, because it's kind of hard to see that way. So if we look at this, we have a supplementary angle here. Line A is an angle that is supplementary. That means it's going to equal 180 degrees. We also know that they give us the measure of this angle here to be 110. So this missing angle right here, this one right here, this unknown, has to equal 180 when we add it to 110. So let's go ahead and start with, I'm just going to start with line A in our parallel line, and we know that we want it to equal 180. I know I have 110 plus some unknown, so use whatever letter you want for your unknown. I'll probably just use the A because I don't know it's from line A, and I'm just going to solve my one-step equation just like I have been. And that gives me 70. So I know that this measure right here now, this measure that was unknown, is going to equal 70. So let's maybe switch colors here. So this angle here, this unknown, has to equal 70 degrees. Okay, now I know also that this line is cut, right? And I know that when I look at this line, there's some things that are called congruent. Congruent means equal. So when things are congruent, they are equal. So congruent angles are equal. We also have something called corresponding. Corresponding angles are angles that are created when we cut this line in half. So they go together. The relationship is even. Okay, so we're going to look at angles that correspond by form when they were formed together. So this angle here, if we were looking at this without line B, we would know that a vertical angle would be straight across. We would know that 70 would be straight across here. The same is going to be true on the other side. They are the exact same things. So we know that the measure, when we look at this, we know that angle 1 and angle 2 also have to equal 180. Okay, so angle 1 and angle 2 have to equal 180. If you look, here is 110. This angle here corresponds or is equal to this angle here, angle 1. So if I cover this up this direction, these angles are the same. Their angles are the same because of the way that the line was drawn. So angle 1 is going to be the same as that corresponding angle. So when I add up, let's look at line B. So when I look at line B, angle 1 plus angle 2 has to also equal 180 degrees. Well, angle 1 and 110, these are corresponding angles. Okay, so like you have a vertical and a vertical and a vertical and a vertical. These are the same measures. Same measures, same measures. They're the exact same line. The transversal line creates the same angles when it cuts both lines across. So if angle 1 is the same as this one, that means that it also equals 110 degrees. Plus angle 2. Well, angle 2, we can call that one B for now. And we're going to get, when we solve this, we get the exact same answer, 70. So B has to be 70. because this one here has to be, well, let's use the same color as I did over there, 110. Because this one is also 110. So this figure, when you look at it, it's the same exact line, it's just duplicated. So you have this line and this line, they're the exact same, so their angles are the exact same. Okay, that is a parallel line. All right, so let's do one more example. There we go. Let's do example B. All right, so let me draw this again, and then I'm going to give you your try it. All right, so example B. Example B, again, you're going to have two parallel lines. And these two parallel lines are cut by a transversal line that happens to look like this. And it says 2 and 1, and it says 99 degrees. Sorry that that's smeared. Okay, now they want to know what is the measure. They want you to find the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2. So again, we're going to look at this and we're going to say, oh my gosh, Miss Englander, those are just two straight lines cut in half. I know, two straight lines, those are going to equal 180. So there's line, there we go. There's my lines right there, A, B, and T. All right, so line A. Line A says 99 plus some unknown equals 180, because again, this is just, look, it's just a line, okay? And over here, again, it's just a line. It's an X, right? It's a vertical angle. And then if I look over here, this is just a vertical angle. It's the exact same vertical angles just created there. Okay, it cuts it so that it's congruent or so that they correspond. All right, and now I'm just going to subtract just like I did before. Minus 99. All right, now I drop down my A. A is going to equal, where was I at? Oh my gosh. I gotta subtract. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then, so that's 10, 9, 10 is 1, so 91. What? I didn't borrow. 81, sorry. 81! All right, so we've got 81. So this little angle right here is going to equal 81. All right, so we have 81 right there. I told you that they correspond, right? So if this one's 99, what does this one have to be? Yeah, it's equal. It also has to be 99. They're equal. They're just the exact same line. So the measure of angle 1 has to equal 99 because the rule is that they are corresponding. They're the exact same angle. So if this line is also 99, what is this side? Well, this side has to be 81. The measure of angle 2 is going to equal 81. So this is corresponding to this. We've got corresponding angles that go from here to here. Vertical angles are going to be angles in action. All right, we are going to do a try it. So let's do a try it. See what we can know already about these angles. All right, so they want to know, here is your line. I'm going to, here is a line going this way and a line going that way. So here's line A and here's line B. And then it is cut like this by line T. Okay? So by line T. And they say that this angle is 63 degrees right there. And they want to know what is angle 1 and what is angle 2. Okay, so they want you to find the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2. All right, go ahead and hit pause right now so that you don't hear me explaining this. And then when you are ready, you may hit play again. All right, here we go. Okay, I know that on this line, if I cover this up, I just have a line right here. A has to equal 180. So this and this together have to equal 180. So the measures of 1 and 2 also have to equal 180. So 63 plus some unknown angle have to equal 180. So if I draw my line and I subtract 63 and minus 63 from both sides of my equation, so subtract from both sides of my equation, I get 117 degrees. So it equals right here, this measurement equals 117 degrees. Okay, now I know corresponding angles, the things that are equal. If this angle here is 63, then this one is also 63. So the measure of angle 1 is 63 degrees. Sorry, I'm off the paper there. If the measure of angle 2 is the same as the one that I found, the unknown, because they correspond, they're like equal there. This one here has to be the same, right? So this one here is going to be the measure of angle 2 is also going to equal 117. All right, how did you do on your triads? And go ahead and find a place somewhere on your paper and answer your essential question. How do you find missing angle measures for parallel lines? So how do we find missing angle measures for parallel lines? All right, if you have any questions, come on back to the Google Meet and ask me for help. Otherwise, you may head over to Big Ideas and do your practice work. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.